Test, test, 1, 2, 3.
Increase a little.
Automatically adjust mic volume. Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Test, test. That looks a little better right there. Cool. Thanks for chiming in, everybody. They can hear it.
Yeah, that's better.
Better?
That's better, yeah.
All right, it's better now? Cool. Thanks, everyone, for chiming in the chat. Very helpful. Okay, well, with that being said, I'm going to run through all of that again just because of our AV issues. I'm going to do it a little bit more succinctly, but cool. So, back to the beginning. If anyone is tuning into this kind of stream for the first time, this is part of a hackathon series. It's called the Battle of the Mind Hackers. So this is a hackathon that we're running out of ATL BitLab, which is a global event, and it's to encourage you to work on projects relating to miner decentralization. Just encourage you to get involved in the Discord. Join this if you haven't already. All of the hackers and the mentors are hanging out in this chat room, and this is a great place to get feedback on your work and to ask for help and to find teammates and all of that. So definitely join that if you haven't already. I want to thank our sponsors, CleanSpark, PlebLab, HashLeague, Choya Inc., and CryoBike. I'll very briefly go over our prize tracks. We've got a prize track for software, for hardware, and for energy. And so each of these have the same prizes associated with them: 1.5 million sats, an ATL BitLab Social Pass, and a CryoBite S19J Pro cooling kit. And the basic idea with this is this is to kind of combat miner centralization through a three-pronged approach. This is, for software projects that work on mining pool decentralization, working with stuff like Stratum V2 and Hashpool and other kinds of projects. Then decentralizing the hardware manufacturing, that's working on open source projects like the BitAxe or repurposing old mining equipment. And then working on the energy side of mining, like novel new energy sources or trying to find ways to reuse the heat out of Bitcoin mining equipment. And then we also have a HashLeague sponsor challenge. We'll talk more about HashLeague during today's mentor session, but this is just for the best project that utilizes HashLeague in some way in their project. And you can look at the schedule and you can see everything that is coming up soon. I think we're getting towards the end of our mentor sessions here. We've got one more with Gabriel Vernetti from the Stratum V2 project next week. If you want to join us in person in the lab this weekend, we're going to be working with some S9 Antminer S9 ASICs that we were donated from Choya Inc. And so if you want to get your hands dirty with some real mining hardware, join us for that. We'll give you a free miner to take home if that'll help you out with your project. And you can also watch us on the live stream. There's also Builder Jam sessions on Discord and in person, so you can check that out. So yeah, cool. I think with that being said, let me just check the chat one more time. Looks like everybody's happy with the audio. I think we'll just go ahead and jump into the presentation. Does that sound good to you, Mara?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let me zip back all the way through the very beginning, and I will let you drive here.
Okay. All right, so just a little bit about us. I'm Maru, also known as Marumover online. I am new to mining specifically, but I am a longtime Bitcoiner. Tend to be focused more on like the privacy and security aspects of Bitcoin, but decentralization is a key component of Bitcoin, and I wanted to be able to contribute my way, and that's how I started collaborating with Steven.
And I'm Steven. I run ATL BitLab here. It's a freedom tech community space in Atlanta, and I'm actually, to be honest, a little bit new to mining too, but I just noticed that people in the Atlanta community really, really love coming out to events relating to mining whenever we have a Bitcoin meetup that has mining as a topic. So that's why I decided to put on this hackathon to try and take people's interest in mining and push that towards working on miner decentralization projects.
All right, so our goal here today is to be able to show you what HashLeague is all about, how you can contribute to HashLeague. And we are going to talk about different things, how we built it, how you can participate now, and how you can potentially enhance it. And we're also going to show you how to run your own mining pool, and we'll talk about the different options that are available for that. All right, what is HashLeague? HashLeague is essentially a dashboard that we've built in a hackathon in Texas that highlights the different efforts that the Bitcoin communities have put together to contribute hash rate power. We're going to go through a demo specifically so you can see what it looks like. The reason why we decided to focus on Bitcoin communities is because we know that Bitcoiners are competitive by nature. Like, everybody talks about who has the coolest hackerspace, who has the most fun parties, the great competitions, community all over. So we want to be able to encourage the communities to contribute to the decentralization issues that exist in Bitcoin, and that's why we created HashLeague. We all want to be able to support one another. Even though we are competitive, we know we all benefit from having this grow. So, Bitcoin, there's no second best. Now, the reason why we focus on this issue, like he mentioned, is because we were learning at the conference in Austin about how broken mining is, including seeing the incentives that are not aligned to lead to decentralization, finding out how limited the hardware manufacturers are, and seeing that there's issues with block templates and like mining pools basically reusing the same block templates. And we wanted to be able to encourage people to participate in helping decentralization happen, including potentially building block templates as well. So as I mentioned, HashLeague is a leaderboard that ranks Bitcoin communities by the combined hash rate of their community mining pools. Now we're going to go through the demo of what the HashLeague looks like. All right. So this is HashLeague. This is a global map that shows the different communities around the world. Right now we have 4 communities that are active.
With a 5th on the way.
Yes. Atlanta was the first one. And basically we built it to highlight like what is the hash rate power that they're contributing, how many miners do they have working for this particular pool, and context about the specific meetup. Now, it's not limited to Bitcoin meetups per se. These are the ones that we know of that exist in the United States, but anybody can add their mining pool. It could be a formal meetup or not. You can add your pool here. This will give you redirect you to the GitHub, and you can then submit the information that you want to submit. We have the Miami community as well, that they are also contributing 4.4. We have 5, they're bid axes that they're contributing. That's why you see this contribution. And most recently we had Austin join us. Who else is on the pipeline today?
The community in Brazil, Casa
yes.
21.
There you go. For the beta project, we set up the Antarctic mining expedition that was based on a public pool. We do not know where this public pool is based, but we placed it in Antarctica in an effort to show how we built this particular product. You want to elaborate on the public pool specifically that we used for that one? It was,
we might get into that a little later as we get into the mining pool tech stack.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might be, I think that's probably it on the leaderboard right there. As you can see, we have these notifications coming in here that are, showing like, this pool increased in hash rate and this pool decreased in hash rate. And so we're trying to create a little bit of urgency around it. Like, obviously Austin has, climbed above Atlanta, which I'm not happy about. So this weekend we're bringing some more miners online. So great. That's how we're decentralizing mining, by a sense of competitive spirit.
All right, so let's go back to the presentation. All right.
Yeah, maybe I'll talk a little bit about how this works here. And again, the context for this is like, if this is a project you think is fun and is interesting to work on, you could make a contribution to HashLeague as a hackathon project. And we've got a couple project ideas. So I'll tell you a little bit how it works, like under the hood. Like the website you were looking at is, hosted on a web server, and the user device, could be your laptop or your phone, however you access the website, is kind of getting the website from that server. There's actually no backend, which kind of makes it easy to work with. And if this project took off in scale, we might need to build some kind of backend for this. But right now, it's basically that every single community that's listed just has their own public API where they expose the information about their miners. So your device is actually just pinging those mining pool APIs directly. And so that community might have, however many miners that are all mining together in this pool. And this pool, like you're basically just asking the pool to tell you how much hash rate it has. So it's by no means a trustless thing. But, right now it's kind of in a situation where, we all pretty much know the people who run these mining pools and these Bitcoin communities. And so it's more for fun at this point more than anything. But yeah, that's the basic kind of diagram of how the architecture works. And we also have some project ideas right here. And I think we have two of them that we know of right now. And I think we have Eric actually here who came up with one of these. So we're going to go ahead and bring him to the stage here and invite him to talk about his project idea.
Hey. Yeah, thanks for the invite.
How's it going?
Everything's going well. Yeah. Super busy with T-Frog coming up and stuff.
Oh yeah, you guys are like a Bitcoin design booth going on there?
Yeah, we have a whole Bitcoin design room.
That's awesome.
I'm actually going to be doing testing BitX and testing how easy people find it to set up the BitX and navigate XOS.
Oh, that's really cool. That sounds great, actually.
Yeah, I'll be sure to share that. And just a heads up, I'm here in Echo with double when I speak. I don't know if that's the Streamline thing or I can live with it.
Wait, tell me something. If I turn on echo cancellation, is my volume level still good?
Yeah, you sound fine to me. Oh, and that solved the problem. Yeah, no echo.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, we had some audio issues earlier, and I turned off the echo cancellation to see if that fixed it, but it must have been something else. Well, cool. Yeah, I wish I could join you in BTC Prague this year. Good luck with the Bitcoin design room. That sounds really cool, and that's actually another great hackathon idea right there. Like if somebody as a designer wanted to redesign the BitX interface or we have until the end of the month. So I think if somebody wanted to do a UX research report on user testing on the BitX and come up with solutions to identified user problems, I think that would be a great hackathon project to submit to this event as well.
Oh man, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I guess I should do that because I've been using XOS and it took me a while because I'm new to mining, so it took me a while to navigate how to connect to a pool, how to see your workers on the pool, and all that stuff, and learning about the target difficulty, your best difficulty, and stuff like that. So I do think that there's probably better ways for XOS to communicate this to users, especially brand new users, more in the line of explainers and stuff. So I'm definitely eager to put it in front of people and see if other people felt the same way that I did. And maybe there's some stuff we can do to XOS to improve it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It's a great project idea.
Yeah, go for both projects. The more the merrier. Get all the stats.
I'm down. I don't have the skills for minor league, but I can talk about it. Oh,
yeah, that'd be great. If you want to, we put a little text description on our screen. But if you want,
your screen disappeared, by the way. I only see myself. I don't know if that's.
Yeah. I just brought you up because you were talking. So I was.
Got it. Okay, sorry.
But yeah, we you can talk through that. I know you had a proposal, so if you want to, actually, maybe I should bring that up.
Sure.
I can also go through it. You can just talk it.
Oh, I just did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. It might be helpful if you see the visual, though. I think.
Yeah, give me a second. I can go into Discord and I can find. I think you dropped a Google.
Yeah, I dropped a Google. I put a Figma in the Streamlab chat, and I'll drop it in the. I drop a Figma link as well in the in the
Oh,
Discord.
okay, cool. This is really cool. Then let me just open it. And would you like to share your screen, or do you want us to drive?
I could share too. I have it open.
Cool. Then yeah, if you share it, I can just like add your screen to the stage.
Okay, sure.
Doing it live, everybody. Live stream. Let me go back to, there we go.
All right. Am I visible?
Let's see. Let me add you to the stage. I'm going to remove that, and then I'm going to add that. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, sweet. Just let me set up my monitors here. Okay, perfect. So yeah, my idea is based on like my experience with HashLeague, which is very limited. I'm just kind of a viewer. I'm a HashLeague enjoyer, and I think the idea is incredible. Like you guys already described it. I think it's exciting. But one of the things that stood out to me was when I look at, this is for the glory. This is like fun for, and I'm having fun. I have 2 bit axes, but I realized that, and I'm also running my own public pool instance. So I could actually get on here real quick.
Yes.
But to me, it's a question of incentive, because with my 2 bit axes, I'm only ever going to be at number 4 unless someone drops off, because at max I'm 2.5 terahashes, 2.9 sometimes on a spike. So I was thinking, what else could there be for the people that are just like, maybe you're solo and you don't have a community, or you can't get your friends to join your public pool instance and stuff like that. What else could we have that would make it fun for somebody that's like literally a solo miner, just somebody running bit axes in their living room, to participate in HashLeague and not always just be number 4 and not in the top 3. So I came up with this proposal for this idea called Minor League Miners. And this is basically it would potentially be a part of HashLeague where it's for the small guys who have less than 4.5 terahashes. So if you only have 2 or 3 bit axes, you will be in the minor league, basically. And one of the things with mining, with solo mining, is that realistically your chances of hitting a block are almost impossible. So I think it's fun. One thing that developed naturally was me and my friends got our bit axes at the same time, and we were kind of setting them up and talking back and forth. And we started kind of taking screenshots of the best difficulty that our bit axe would hit. And we kind of, every time I would beat his score, I'd send him a text like, oh, I think I literally just hit like 929 million difficulty. And I can try to explain what that is for those people that don't know. Like, when your bit axe is hashing, when it hits a hash that is closest to the Bitcoin difficulty, to the nonce, or the number that a miner would have to hit in order to get the block reward, I believe they measure that in best difficulty. So my understanding of it is that the best difficulty that you hit is probably the preceding numbers of zeros that are closest to the nonce. And realistically, I think it's like what is it right now for the network? 100. It's like,
I don't know. We'd have to open mempool to find out, I think.
Yeah, but it's like it's more than millions. But with your solo miner, like you might hit a hash that's really, really high. And so this best difficulty is like the best hash that your solo miner was ever to come up with. The best guess, the best guess that it got in generating a hash that had like what I presume to be the smallest amount of zeros that was closest to the number. So it's like how close you got to hitting a block. And it's luck, and it's kind of randomly, it's really just luck. So my idea was to gamify this idea of, if you're a small miner and you're running, instead of having the measurement just be your pure hash rate over time, what if we had a leaderboard for the small guys where it measured instead the best difficulty that your miner hit? And this kind of opens the playing field for everyone, because anyone that's mining is hitting a best difficulty kind of constantly. And then you're competing with somebody almost on this kind of luck game where whose bit axe can hit the best difficulty. And in order to incentivize it even further, I was thinking, what if there was a pool, kind of like if people were to donate a certain amount of sats into a Lightning address or something like that. There probably have to be a custodian, unless there's a way to automate this, which sounds very complex. But let's say everyone just donated to this minor league miner league for like 7 days, and people donated, and they managed to raise like 42,000 sats. So all of the people that are participating in the minor league, as they're hashing, whoever at the end of the period gets the best difficulty would basically win the pool of sats. So it's this way where if you're a small miner, you can join HashLeague, you can kind of have fun in a luck-based competition, and then you might potentially win some sats. But also, it's now a different way for HashLeague to kind of judge miners. It's a different way for you to get on the HashLeague in a way that isn't solely tied to the amount of bit access or the amount of hash that you're generating. It's basically introducing this element of luck into HashLeague and then making a little bit of a game behind it. So that's kind of my concept here. And I threw together this just quick Figma mock-up of how it might be presented to the end user. And in this example, we have 3 different people that are competing in the minor leagues. And as they hit a best difficulty, they may go up or down in the ranking. And then at the end of the 7 days or however long the period is, the winner would take the prize pool. Then it would reset again.
I think it's an excellent idea, honestly. Like, there are people that have approached us about participating in HashLeague that they don't necessarily have a meetup nearby. And our answer has been today, just point it to your favorite meetup. Like, there's nothing that's stopping you. We don't have any geographical restrictions. So this is a great way to get them incentivized to participate as solo miners. So if you find this idea interested and you're listening to the podcast, and I'm sorry, not the podcast, the live stream, and you don't have a team yet, please reach out to Eric. He is in the Discord. Ask Eric, and you guys can collaborate.
Yeah, I'm looking for help. I probably need some help setting up the backend. I'm pretty comfortable in Figma, and I'm just technical enough to run my own instance. But there's probably some of the things that I would need help on is how can we configure some type of backend to actually pull best difficulty from your public pool instance onto here. And the more kind of tech side of that is an area that I lack. So if there's anyone with that kind of expertise that wants to join my team, just hit me up, because I'd love to collaborate with anyone that thinks this is a fun project.
And actually, I wonder, it depends on, I know I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but I was going to go check out the public pool website, because I think public pool actually shows its own, I think it shows a best difficulty.
It does.
So that means you actually don't even, with the way HashLeague is currently set up, if you're using, even if you're self-hosting public pool, you don't need to, you actually wouldn't need to run a backend. As long as it's publicly exposed in the API, then I think you can just fetch the difficulty from that. So that saves you from having to run a database and all of that. So
that's super useful.
Yeah, if you're a front-end vibe coder and you just want to get some glory here and help Eric bring this thing to life, then you should talk to him on Discord
and win some sats. Don't forget, there's 300,000 sats at stake here. So
let's do it, guys.
I would say focus on that feature more than the one about the prize pooling, because I think that there's some other considerations for that component. So just focus on the one feature, build that, execute that, and I think that would make you a serious contender for this prize.
Awesome. And actually now knowing that public pool, if you're running your own public pool instance, like Steven said, it's already logging the best difficulty that you hit per session. So if there's an easy way to feed that in, then that actually makes the work a lot easier. So good insight there.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. See ya.
Cool. Thanks. All right. Let's get this one added back. Then the other project idea I have, which is not nearly as cool. It doesn't have the same cool factor that Eric's has, but I think. But
it's critical to the mission.
I think it's critical to the mission is adding Stratum v2 SRI support. So if you want to learn more about Stratum v2, you can Gabriel can teach you about that on Monday. But the basic the TLDR on it is that it's the newer. Stratum is like a mining pool protocol. It's for enabling a bunch of miners to work together on finding block solutions together. Stratum v2 is the kind of next version of that, and it has a lot of features and enhancements. For one thing, it has encrypted communications with the mining pool. Another thing is they make it easier to break up the construction of the block template so that the pool doesn't have to control that. I'd love personally to see more people adopting Stratum v2. So right now, the only way to join HashPool at this moment is if you're running a public pool. But I would like to see other types of pool software supported, and it's kind of near and dear to my heart that SV2 be supported. So that is another project idea right there, and there are people in the Discord who can help you with that.
But just to be clear, for the submissions for this particular award, they do not have to be on Stratum v2. It's just a preference. But we also have other things in our roadmap that we had talked about related to Nostr that maybe you could, if you're curious about that, you're welcome to contribute that as well.
Yeah, exactly. This prize pick is best contribution to HashLeague. Could be this project idea, could be Eric's project idea, or it could be your own project idea that is, your own thing. So cool. Yeah, I'll take us forward. So we're going to get now into how to launch your own mining pool. And here's how I want you to think about this. So like we're kind of teaching you two things in this session. One, what is HashLeague? How can you contribute to it and add features to it as part of your hackathon project? Also, just if you are doing a hackathon project of any kind, whether it is for HashLeague or whether you're just trying to get one of the other prize tracks, you might need to know how to work with mining pools as part of your hackathon project. And it's something when we were building HashLeague together, we had to learn how to set up our own mining pool. So we're sharing this with you because even if you aren't interested in HashLeague, knowing how to set up a mining pool might be useful information for you to have as part of this hackathon project. So like I kind of said previously, like mining pool, if you're kind of new to Bitcoin mining and this whole space, the basic gist is, you can have a bunch of miners who are collaborating together. And the idea is that it's kind of like this agreement that's like, hey, my problem, me mining a block by myself, I'm probably not going to mine a block. Maru mining a block by herself, she's probably not going to get it. But if we pull up our hash rate together, we can have this agreement that's like, if one of us finds a block, we'll share the reward with each other. And what if we got a ton of people working together and we all kind of agree to share the block reward and the blocks, subsidy with each other if one of us finds a solution. So that's kind of what mining pools are. This is a long-running, feature of Bitcoin mining. There's a lot of different mining pool software you can use to run your own mining pool. There's CK Pool, BFG Miner. There's a Stratum v2 SRI I was just talking about. There's a whole bunch of them, too many to name here. The one we ended up going with for when we built HashLeague was Public Pool, just because we found it the easiest to set up and deploy on our own, and also because it had some of the web API support that we needed to get it to talk to our HashLeague website. So you could do any mining pool that you wanted to, but for today's session, we're going to just focus on Public Pool because that's the one that we know best. What is public pool? So it is a little bit of, confusing naming conventions here. What public pool is, what we're talking about today, is it's a TypeScript implementation of Stratum v1. And if you're familiar, if you're a web application developer, this is probably going to feel very familiar to you. It's a lot of the JavaScript, TypeScript stuff that you've probably done on your other projects. And you're just kind of putting it on a web server the same way you would any other web application. So this will probably feel very familiar to you. Now, a little bit confusing. There is a large public mining pool called Public Pool, and it uses the Public Pool software. So a little bit confusing. When we are talking about Public Pool, we're not talking about publicpool.io or whatever the URL is. We're specifically in this presentation talking about the Public Pool software. But Public Pool, the main Public Pool, is also great too. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. There's the kind of easy-ish way, and then there's the advanced way. The easy-ish way are if you are a Start9 user or an Umbrel user, you can do that with a little bit of extra setup. And then we'll show you the kind of advanced way a little bit as well. So the Start9 way of doing this.
Yeah, so if you already have a Start9 node set up, It's very easy to set up a public pool in your node. You would just go to the marketplace and install public pool. There are some modifications that you need to make, but those instructions are detailed very specifically so that you can do it on your own. We added a YouTube link here because this particular person did a very quick and easy, less than 10-minute tutorial. So it's very easy to set up. We have it the same way for Umbral. If you already have that, you need to have your Bitcoin node running, synced, up to date, and then you can install public pool easily and modify that specific port and the other little instructions, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And I think the crux of the issue is pretty similar with both Start9 and Umbral, is that they obviously have it on the App Store where you can point, click, install, but you have to kind of go into the command line and type some stuff. And I think it has to do with the fact that you have this Stratum port. Stratum needs to have a special port open, and I think by default, the Umbral and the Start9 don't support this. So you got to kind of go in under the hood and customize this stuff. If you're a web developer, though, you can also just set this up on, the same way you would almost any other web application. And I'll try to briefly demonstrate that. So the basic idea is you're going to run a web server of some kind. You could do this on like a AWS EC2 instance. You could make a DigitalOcean droplet. You could actually run a server on a physical computer box, sitting in your closet at your house. Whatever you want to do, you just need some kind of web server. And what you're going to do is you're going to clone the public pool GitHub repo from GitHub. And then there's some commands in there to where you can build a Docker container. And then once the Docker containers are running, you can point your miners at it. And so we're going to demonstrate that today, if we can. Now, for a really proper public pool setup, if you want this to be a little more long-term and robust, you're probably going to want to also install the public pool UI, which is this nice little web app with charts and graphs on it and stuff. You also probably want to set a TLS cert up for your server, just so people aren't getting people aren't getting notifications that their connection isn't encrypted and all that. But we're going to skip that today for just the sake of time, and just kind of show you the absolute bare bones. If you need a mining pool to start hacking on your project, this is how you can set one up kind of quickly. Okay, so let's see. Let me share a different screen here. I'm going to share another screen. Share screen, window. All right. I probably, for the sake of everyone's eyes, am going to want to up this font size as large as we can get it. And hopefully everybody can see that okay. So what I've done here is I've gone to DigitalOcean. And I went to DigitalOcean and I made a pretty cheap droplet in one of their data centers, and it spun it up and I got the IP address. Then I went to where I manage my domain name, and I made a subdomain, and the subdomain that I made was test03.pool.atlbitlab.com. And that made it so that I have a nice domain name that's mapped to my server. And then from there, I'm able to go and just do SSH. And then on DigitalOcean, the default is root @ and then I put the nice domain name that I mapped on there. So if you do that, it'll ask you for your password or however you have your SSH configured, and then you can get into your box. So I'm here at my Ubuntu server. Now, I realize it's actually kind of difficult to keep swapping between different screen shares on StreamYard. So bear with me here, but I am going to put in the chat here, there is a GitHub repo where you can get public pool. And I'm going to just post that into the chat and bring it up onto the screen so that everybody can see it. Benjamin Wilson is the author of Public Pool, and you can find it on his GitHub. And so I'm going to, I'm like just basically in the home directory of this DigitalOcean droplet. First thing I'm going to do is pull down Benjamin's repo. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Git clone, that just pulls down the code. You can see I've got a nice little folder called public pool now. I'm going to cd into that directory now. And if I list out that directory, you can see all of the stuff that is from the GitHub. Now, one of the first things that we need to do here is we actually need to update our env file. So what I'm going to do is you can see there's an example that they put in there, env.example. We're just going to copy that, and we're going to copy it to .env. So now I have a proper env file. So when we build the Docker container, it will have all the stuff it needs. I'm going to use Nano, which is my favorite text editor, and I'm going to edit this Docker file. Now, here's where you ideally need to have your own Bitcoin node. So like I said, if you're kind of a developer, you may already have one of these set up. You could point this to something on your Start9 or your Umbrel, or if you host a Bitcoin node somewhere else, you can do that. You can also change the pool identifier right here. I'm going to call this, ATL test pool 03. This is probably going to get trashed after the live stream. But the real important things that you want to do is you want to put the URL, the user, the password to your Bitcoin node. And I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen because bear with me for a moment, but I don't want to share my actual, Bitcoin node credentials on a live stream. So bear with me there. Let's see. So actually, I have another file I can get this from. So I already have another chicken baking in the other oven. So give me a second. But for the URL, that should just be the IP address of the server. And the username, that could be whoops. No, I did not have that. I do need to go to this other window. Everyone probably thinks I'm crazy.
Well, they can't see what you're
Yeah, they can't see. So they're like, what is he talking about? Hold on, I know where I'm going to go. I want to log out of that one. And then there we go.
change the IP.
Yeah. And if you do set this up from scratch, where you would define these kind of variables are in your bitcoin.conf file on your Bitcoin node. So, the user and the password, obviously that should be unique to your node. I usually just leave the default Bitcoin RPC port at 8332. It's just really just the user and the password that I could change. Some people do, you'll also find something in the env file for Bitcoin RPC cookie file. I actually have no experience using the Bitcoin cookie file. It's something that some people do, but I typically just use a user and password. So pardon me while I just double check my credentials here, and I think we're good.
Stratum port.
We're going to leave that the same as it is. Yeah. Everything else in the file, unless you want to change anything, whatever's in that public pool env example, you can leave it as is. It's really just the RPC URL, the user, and the password. And then one final thing, I have to go whitelist this IP. I'm a little strict. I whitelist IPs on mine. it'd be there we go, and then. And you actually, depending on what your threat model is, you might not actually have, you might not do whitelisting on yours. It just kind of depends. I do mine because I don't have my node and my pool on the same network. Pardon me, I need to go back to DigitalOcean and like find my IP. There we go. RPC allow IP equals, and then I'm going to save that. Okay, and let me just double check that file one last time before I show the screen again. Something's loading slowly. What's going on there? Did we just have an internet hiccup?
No. It's still streaming correctly.
Cool. Well, then we might have just like lost that shell connection. It happens.
Live demos.
Doing it live, yeah, it happens. So let's see. Test03.live.com. Yep, that looks right. Okay, cool. Then I'm just going to share my screen again. Thanks for bearing with me, everybody. Let me get the font size back to where it's human readable. And let me find the correct window. Too many windows up. All right, there we go. We're back. Cool. Thanks, everyone. So yeah, and like I was saying on that, the reason I whitelist on my Bitcoin node is just because my pool and my node aren't in the same network. But if you have your Bitcoin node and your pool on the same network, you could probably get away without whitelisting. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so we have our public pool set up. We have an environment env file with all our credentials. Now we're going to build the Docker container, and I'm actually just going to pull this from the README file on Benjamin's GitHub, but we can run this command right here, docker build -t public pool, and this is just going to take all the source code in that directory and kind of smush it together into a Docker container. And then while this is happening, maybe we can play some music. I don't know. Maybe we can sell this, auction this space off for advertisers who might want to promote their products during this shell output. Remember when we had to do this when we were actually working on this hackathon project for the first time?
I know, I had to do it so many times.
That sense of anxiety and uncertainty if it was actually going to work. We're saving you that anxiety and uncertainty for your hackathon project. It will work. We believe in you. And also we can verify it works. We're doing it right now.
And this is why we call the Start9 and Umbro setup easy, because the terminal instructions are way simpler than this.
It just looks intimidating. It's just spitting out a bunch of, logs and stuff, but it'll work. I feel like it went faster the last time I did this earlier today. So maybe I cheaped out and like spun up a smaller cloud server this time. Wow, it really is taking longer than I expected. All right, well, while that's doing its thing, I'm going to pull up HashLeague again, and we're just going to, let's pull up something else while that kind of does its thing. And we'll go back to there when it's done.
Why don't we show them the GitHub?
Yeah, sure. That sounds like a great idea. And this is actually the instructions that I'm reading right here in the public pool GitHub. So all the instructions I'm giving, I'm just pulling from this section here that says Docker. And oh, whoops, I just realized that wasn't going to work because I forgot one step, which was editing the Docker Compose file. I don't know why it's set up this way in the GitHub, but we actually need it to just be, let me double check my notes. We actually just need it to be, yeah, we need all this crap taken out. I think that's for like if you're like running it on your own network or something like that. But for us, we're running it on a server, so we're gonna take that out. And then that should be good. Building it again. All right, cool. But yeah, the GitHub here. Yeah, so I mean, this is the GitHub for the public pool, and we should probably also look a little bit at the HashLeague GitHub too, if you're curious about participating there. So this is a pretty just simple TypeScript project and all of that. You know, in terms of all of the communities and all that, there's this directory here called server, and then if you go into storage.ts. You can actually go here and find all of the communities and mining pools right here. So all of the ones that are live and active right here are just in this constant here called real pools. And it'll tell you like the name of the pool. It'll have latitude and longitude. That's how it knows how to plot it on the map. Yeah. Little description, avatar, all that, and then the pool API URL. So if you do set up your own pool and you add it to HashLeague, this is the API of your public pool instance. You would give us the URL of that to put there. So you can see there, Austin has their own one right there that they're running. And so they just gave us their data and we added it. There's some other test pools down here, which are just like, you know, to fill up the map with other information and stuff. Okay, I'm just going back to my tab here to check. Yep, looks like our Docker container is still building. Ooh, well, hey, this is how the sausage is made, everybody. So yeah, and this is kind of what I was mentioning earlier about how like there is not really a backend to this project. It really just pulls all the information directly from the mining pools. So if this thing got really big and there was tons of mining pools, we probably would want a backend, but for the kind of small scale that it's at right now, it works just fine. I will go ahead and mention we do use Mapbox for like rendering the map. So if you're not familiar with that, here is mapbox.com, and they like provide, they're like a tile server. You know, it's kind of like Google Maps, but it's like better for open source projects and stuff like that. And you can get onto their API with a free plan. That's what we do. So if you need to like set this up in your like local dev environment, then you probably want to go and find your own Mapbox API. But I think you can sign up for a free developer account and just get an API key, and that way you'll be able to use Mapbox. Okay, it looks like our Docker container is done being built. So I'm going to go ahead and try and add that back. Share screen, window. And where is my terminal? There we go. Okay, we're back here in the terminal. Let's check that out. So we finished building the Docker container, and then I think we just need to build it or run it now. So let me just double check Benjamin's documentation. I think it should just be this one. Okay, so I think that's it. And
Great.
so, I mean, most of that time is just spent building it. And if we look, if I list out all the Docker containers that are running, we can now see we have one called public pool, and that's good. And so here's the moment of truth. Does it work? Did it work? That's the moment of truth. Let me just double check the connection string. Yeah, so it should be like, if this worked, then it should be like test03.pool.atlbitlab.com, and then it's :3334, and then it's /API/info. Hey, it worked. It worked. It's not that amazing to see, but the API now spits out this little nugget right here. Block data, nothing yet. User agents, nothing yet, because we haven't pointed any miners at it. But it's very, very simple. Like at this point, if you have like, let's say like a bidaxe running in your home, what you could do is for the pool connection string, you would just put this in. So, but instead of using port 3334, you do 3333. So you want to point your miners there, and then you use the 3334 port /API/info, and that's how you can pull down the info about your mining pool. So that's it. I mean, it wasn't that many terminal commands. It was mostly just a lot of like sitting there, like, watching it do that kind of crap and making sure that the right passwords were pasted in the right places. But it wasn't it looks more intimidating and overwhelming than it actually is, I think. So like I said, this is technical, but if you're a web developer, you probably have done some stuff like this before, just setting up websites and stuff. So if you need to set up a mining pool for your hackathon projects, it's totally a very doable, accomplishable task. Okay, what do you think, Mario? Is there anything else we should cover in the kind of final moments of the stream here? Anything you want to hit on that I think we haven't hit on already?
No, just hop into the Discord and engage with us. We'll work with you if you're struggling to set up your own pool. And we look forward to seeing what project ideas you come up with. And yeah I think it's going to be, you have a lot of time. This is not a hackathon sprint of 24 hours. You have until July 6th to submit. So.
Yeah. Well, and actually, minor correction on that. Your submissions are due. Let's check the schedule. We do give some time for, so it's all here on the schedule here. So we do ask you to get your submissions in by July 1st. There will be a finalist round after that. And then the finalists, you can keep working on your project after that if you want. There'll be a finalists award ceremony on July 6th. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, you do have several more weeks to work on this. So we're here to help you if you need any help setting up your own mining pool.
Thank you for joining us.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Catch you later. Let me figure out how to turn off a stream. There we go.